Hello, and we're back after 2 weeks away, nearly over 2 weeks away. We are back, and on Instagram we have got. Oh, here's Dunk now. All right, Dunk. I'll just let Dunk on to the old chatteroony. Bear with me. Dunk will join us in a minute. Hello there, Candyville27. So we're back. We have got Pat from the painting phase. I'm just trying to. No. So I'm just trying to invite people on now. So you're gonna have to bear with me while I try and get people on because it's Instagram and it's brilliant that way. Hello, Pat. How are you? Well, we've got you on. That's the most important thing.
Excellent. Yeah, wonderful.
So we've got you on. We're just waiting to try and get Dunk on. I don't know if is Casey in. Let's have a look. Casey is supposed to be here. They're both invited. Dunk, Casey, stick it in chat if you can't get on. How are you anyway, Pat? How are things with you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've spent the day decorating, so I'm currently just sort of chilling out by the radiator, drinking lots of tea.
Very good. Best place to be. I obviously with the cost of living crisis and gas and electric, I'm sitting here wearing 3 layers and a hat rather than put my heating on.
Yeah.
Welcome to the UK.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Like I've got my favourite piece of attire on, which is like my Chewy onesie. So I could just sort of sit here like this the whole time, but I probably won't.
I've accepted invites, but people keep asking. They keep asking me to invite. Go live, right? See if it works this time. Says you are able to join, Casey, if you are in the chat. Well, that's done.
How you doing, mate?
We don't really need Casey, do we?
No, we don't.
Do you
How are
want
you, Pat?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm brilliant, man. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for accepting our invite to come to our Stupid Wee podcast.
Yeah, no. Chewy onesie, more like a pissy wizard. Oh, there we go. We've got some of our Twitch chat in. That's very good. There'll be loads of bizarre comments on here, but it's to be expected, I think, at this stage.
I don't worry, you get us to Egypt as well, so there'll be definitely some weird things being thrown your
I've
way.
accepted your invite, Casey, about 4 times now, and it keeps telling me that you've invited yourself again. So it's great. I love Insta. It's brilliant.
We have this issue every week, more or less, when we're doing live and stuff.
Casey said, "This is being fucking shit." What, us, you, the Instagram, internet, life in general? You need to. Do you want to go and do the intros, Dunk? While I try and get him on.
So, welcome back to the Inquisition, folks. It's been a long 2 weeks, I feel, since the last time we were on with Mr. Funhouse himself, Inferno Miniatures. We've kicked off with an absolutely amazing guest, and I would like to say that out of the three of us and with the three of yous on the painting phase, I think me and you are at the same level of knowing nothing about Warhammer really in the lore, whereas like Jeff and Peachy know everything, and Simon knows everything, and Casey knows quite a lot. I would say that you and me are probably on the same level, that when they start talking about like 4th edition and 5th edition, we just nod and say yes.
Yeah. Like I feel like I've picked up enough through like osmosis that when people go like, and I forget which one it is. Again, when people say 3rd or 4th edition, whichever one had like Black Templars on the front of the box, and you can go, oh yeah, classic piece of John Blanche artwork. Yes, such a great addition. And it's like watching IT Crowd, if you've ever seen it, where they say like, is it they try and pretend to get into football, and they're like, that's the problem, Arsenal, they always try and walk it in. Like, I feel like that.
When Casey and Simon start muttering on about how the rules were so different, and 7th and 8th was ridiculously good, and then 9th ruined it, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, totally agree. Like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, and then I could come in with a buzzword and go, oh yeah, tournaments are ruining the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they are. I think that's just like, but and what have you. But yes, I know enough to get by these days. So, well, not with playing 40k, but I've been listening to my Black Library books and really enjoying those at the minute. So that's been really good fun.
And what book are you currently listening to this now?
I'm on Caiaphas Cain. I think it's book 7 or 8. The Last Ditch, it's called.
Oh, hello. There we go. Right. Hello, sorry about that. It's finally working.
Does this mean he's late though? Anyway, even though he
No.
was here on time, we
Yeah.
can get him on.
No.
So, just for your Inquisition bingo cards, tick off Casey was late for the stream.
One of them. Put that on your bingo card, yeah?
So, Pat, usually, thanks for coming. As I say again, I always say it about 1,000 times to everybody that comes on. Thanks for coming on. We've been doing this now since start of August, and the end of August, start September, and we're just loving having the wide variety of people on.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not purely Warhammer, even though you worked for Games Workshop for a period of time. But like, how did you get into Warhammer? Like, what was the very first model you painted? Was it back when you were younger and you came back to it, or was it just like you were basically when you were with Games Workshop?
So my first introduction to Warhammer was when I was in primary school. So I think I was in like year 5. So is that when you're sort of like 8 or 9 or something like that? And a few of the other boys in the class had brought in some Space Marines, and I was like, oh my god, they're amazing. So there was a Games Workshop in Carlisle, which is in Cumbria, where I grew up, and I got Calgar as like my first miniature. Like I remember him and like the chief librarian, is it Targarius? So those were my first 2 miniatures, and then had a few sort of Space Marines and bits and bobs, and then sort of that was my introduction to the hobby when I was younger. Yeah.
So what did you do before you worked for Games Workshop? For people that don't know.
So like I done a variety of jobs really, but I was working in a climbing wall at the time, but well beforehand, and sort of got into videography and stuff like that, and then I started a wedding video business, and then during COVID that sort of completely died, because nobody wanted to get married, and a friend of mine sent me a job application for Games Workshop, and I got that job in like April 2021.
And then how long were you with Games Workshop for? It seemed like the way you talked about it in the painting phase, you were basically there for like a wet weekend or something, and then you were gone.
Yeah, so I think it was about 6 months. So really, in the grand scheme of things, like really not that long. Yeah.
Casey,
you didn't read the chat, did you?
You know what? I have to apologise. My 4-year-old has completely frazzled me today, and my mind is not with it. So I do apologise if I'm zoning out and all sorts, because he's been a little twat. Yeah. So the painting phase. Obviously, great channel. You've got some amazing interviews on there. You've had some quality people coming on. I know, obviously, in that you and Peachy, and when we had Peachy on, he talked briefly about it. But given that you were only at Workshop for 6 months, how did that idea to just do your own thing creep in? Was it something you've always thought of doing, your own sort of channels, or?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So I don't begrudge like Games Workshop for this, but like in my interview, they said, what is your sort of preferred sort of thing? Is it shooting? Is it editing? And then is it painting, or is it battle reports? And I was sort of like, oh, I really like shooting and I really like painting. And then I ended up as the editor on Battle Report. So it was I'd left, but in a way felt that I hadn't done everything that I'd wanted to, or like I'd had ideas that it just wasn't my job to implement or sort of talk about, so to speak. So I was keen to try and sort of, I don't know, make some fun YouTube videos. Like I at the risk of sounding too much like a cheap action film, like I had unfinished business. Yeah.
And just with the YouTube and everything, and this is something I've been thinking about for the last week, maybe, knowing that you've been coming on, seeing obviously, there are loads and loads of channels out there, and you guys have come along, obviously, and had near enough instant impact. And I'll be honest, it's an amazing channel to follow. I'd say in the chat, if you don't follow it, do, but you will probably do anyway, so no plugs there. But something on my mind, and I think this comes across for everyone that does YouTube and everyone that does something like this every week, they chat to people.
Yeah.
Given that you've got such a good following, do you feel that you've got like a responsibility to be sort of ambassadors for everything in a way? You don't work for Workshop, you don't work for any of the companies that give you the stuff, the paints or anything like that. But do you feel like you should be there as impartial as you can, to be as fair as to everyone as you can, rather than going every week and be bashing this company shit, that company shit, just sort of go and help everyone and everything?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was definitely like a bit of like a learning experience in a way, because it started off when we were smaller. Well, just me and Jeff in my spare room chatting nonsense and being like, wow, Warhammer Plus, love all of those frequently released animations. But as we've grown and more people have watched, it's something that I think more about. You're getting some beef in the chat there. That's fun.
You always get beef in the chat. I'll read it out. Casey, Penjammer can't even be responsible enough to show up on time most weeks.
I was on time today. It weren't my fault. It's Simon's dodgy Instagram.
On YouTube, we won't be able to see the chat.
What?
Oh, okay. Right. I'll bear that in mind.
What I love is Nupricon throws shade every week, and he's on in like 2 months. Is he going to start throwing shade at himself in the chat, or are we going to have to employ somebody to throw shade at Nupricon? Because every week he's throwing shade at Penge.
To be fair, half of it is reasonable, so I deserve it. But when he comes on, I'm giving it back.
Shane just throws shade at everybody. I play D&D with Shane most weekends. He just throws shade at everybody. It's just Shane.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, what's the saying? So we want to be like impartial, but like say we're like when Games Workshop is concerned, we don't just want to turn up and say Games Workshop did this week, and there's a little bit of that, of course there is, but also they do so much good, and we have a YouTube channel because of Games Workshop. If they didn't exist, we wouldn't have anything to talk about and paint and all that sort of stuff. So we try and stay impartial, try and be positive about the hobby, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And I will pass over to Simon in 1 second. I've got some more questions. We just rotate about, so don't worry. But a question in the chat for you from Walkgate Studios. Would you like to meet for a cup of tea at LVO?
Yes, me and Jeff are going to be at the Las Vegas Open with Artis Opus, which is going to be awesome. Jeff drinks normal tea, I drink peppermint tea. So if that's on the menu, then let's do it. Yeah.
Cool.
I like that Casey also put Cy in the chat to prompt me, even though he just said it out loud.
I've got to make sure, because you said Casey in the chat and I didn't respond. So I'm just.
We're slick. We are professionals. I'm sure you can relate, Pat, that we're just as professional as you guys. We're on it all the time.
Like keeping up with the chat's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, and we usually fail, but we said we'd make a concerted effort to try today, because usually we ignore chat. But it's not good for people watching if they ask questions and we just ignore them.
Hashtag you us. That's what it is.
So you met. Go on, sorry, carry on.
Well, I was going to say, especially on Instagram, because it only shows like the last two, doesn't it?
Yeah. Then it disappears, so you have to be quick, or you have to pull it back down again. So if you ever see me doing that, I'm pulling the chat back down. So I know you were at Workshop for 6 months, as you said. But for those who don't know, and to me to be sure, because I'm not Irish. I did think I've lost your train of thought there because Dunk's just shaking his head at me at the bottom. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure what you did at Workshop, and I'm sure there may be people in the chat who didn't. So what exactly was your role when you were at Games Workshop?
So I got a job as a videographer, which shooting and editing, and it was for the Warhammer Plus was currently unreleased. So that went live in August 2021, I think, and I started work at the end of April. So we started developing like Battle Report as a show, shooting some pilots and getting approval and this, that, and the other. So my job was shooting and editing Battle Report. Yeah.
So I guess you were working quite closely with Peter then, with him being the head of the department that painted the armies and stuff like that.
So yeah, Peachy was doing the YouTube painting videos. There was two guys army painters that painted armies for Warhammer Plus. So I think the first game we did, the Dominion box set was the first game. They painted all the miniatures for that. Quite a lot of the time we'd use people's personal armies or army painted armies in workshop and stuff like that. It was really interesting because I think the expectation that a lot of people had and that I had when I first started there was, oh wow, like we're making official battle reports for Games Workshop. They'll have heavy metal miniatures falling out their ears. But it just wasn't the case. Like we couldn't play with heavy metal miniatures because they're very specific about what could be used for what. But what was army painted, which is kind of like you see them in the army shots in the codexes, or you have your front line on the box, which is heavy metal, and then the stuff in the background is the army painted stuff. They would only paint sort of one of each unit and stuff like that. So if you wanted to have 3 land speeders or whatever, that wasn't an option. So it was quite tricky in the beginning. I'm sure it's all sorted now, but quite tricky in the beginning to have the armies to play with, which was quite an interesting thing to try and deal with. Yeah.
And when you decided to leave, was it just a case of you were moving on to bigger and better things, or what was the? I mean, 6 months is not a lot of time to be working for a company. So what prompted the going out on your own, as it were?
Yeah, so the COVID restrictions were starting to wind down a bit, and I was going to be busy with weddings again. That's like the official response. I could say that I had the most wonderful time there, and it was an incredibly pleasurable experience, but I won't.
So obviously, but you had the YouTube channel with you and Jeff initially. Yeah. I've been watching you since the very, very start. So I understand that Jeff was your barber. So was it just one of those kind of chats where he basically started up with Warhammer? Or how did the conversation start, and how did the YouTube channel then go from him cutting your hair to you then starting up a YouTube channel?
Yeah, like it's a weird story when you think about it. So this goes back to when I was working in the climbing wall. I met Jeff because he brought his son in to learn how to climb. And if I was working on the desk, I'd make Jeff a coffee and we'd chat about TV and movies and Star Wars. The sequel trilogy was coming out at the time, and all that sort of stuff. So we just chat about what we're enjoying and all that sort of stuff. And when I was in my early 20s, I had really terrible hair. I think I only started to get decent haircuts like as it started to fall out. I was like, time's limited, need to get it sorted. I went to go and visit Jeff as my barber. And that was the case for a very long time, and still is, which is wonderful. I got, Jeff was doing a movie podcast with one of his friends, and he moved back home to Scotland. And then when I applied for the Games Workshop job, I had to make a video application, and I borrowed some of Jeff's miniatures because he said he was into Warhammer and all that sort of stuff. So I borrowed some of his Death Guards and his Marines and that sort of thing. Made the video, and then when I left Workshop, as I said, I felt like I had sort of like something left to give. Like I wanted to continue to sort of make videos and stuff like that. Jeff had finished his podcast, and then we just caught eyes and decided to give it a go.
I mean, I do love the chemistry that you have, and like, and the three of you, like having Peachy there is also an added bonus. But I know, obviously, Jeff, he doesn't really mention it that much that he was in the army, like much like myself.
Just
right?
like you don't.
Yeah, I was about to say, neither do you.
I very rarely mention that. I was in the army, but my friends, like not these two idiots, but when I go back home to Scotland and I start telling an army story, my mates do the old Only Fools and Horses thing. During the war, do you do that to Jeff? Or do you think you could maybe start doing that to Jeff? It instantly shuts me up then. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll maybe told that story.
I'm not sure. Like I'll say if I've heard a story before, and that's it.
Yeah,
but I don't want to stop him. No.
And what else was I asked there? Oh, stupid Only Fools and Horses was ruined my mind now. But the link I was going to go to there, I can't actually remember what I was going to ask.
Well, Rich has given you a massive in.
I am not going to mention it. So yeah, like, see when you were discussing, that's right. See when you were discussing the sequels to Star Wars, what did go right with the sequels in Star Wars? Because in my opinion, nothing. The sequels were absolute gash.
Yeah, I think probably the most excited I felt as an adult, apart from the first date with my partner, obviously. She's in the room. Was the first trailer for The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Seeing, like, when they do the trailer music of Star Wars, and it's the theme, but it's got a bit more oomph. And you see the Millennium Falcon flying at sunset through a downed Star Destroyer. Like, I remember watching that loads. I even ripped it off of YouTube and like went through some of it like frame by frame. I was like unbelievably excited. So I think that is all they did right, really. Yeah.
I think for me, the very start of the trailer where you just hear Kylo Ren's lightsaber opening up.
Yeah.
And the way they marketed Star Wars, the sequels, was that you were going to get a stormtrooper who became a Jedi. And for me, they ruined Finn as a character. In my opinion, they just made him a kind of side character, a kind of comedy effect character, which I think he should have been elevated way above from how he get done dirty. George Wannabe get done dirty.
Yeah.
Casey, over to you.
Because I think like he was kind of limited to just yelling "Rey" in the third film, wasn't he? So, yeah.
And then when he woke up in the Last Jedi, he went, "Where's Rey?" Basically, all his lines involved the word Rey at some point.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Properly friend zone there, wasn't he?
Yeah, even John Boyega's spoken about how like they've absolutely trashed his character and how it just sort of really destroyed him. So, I think that's quite a big thing, isn't it? But,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like, all the directors changed and everything, didn't they? Like, there was no sort of cohesive plan, and it definitely suffered for it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on Rian Johnson. I'll be here all night. So, anyway, Warhammer, tick. Star Wars, tick. Your photography, what else makes Patrick tick?
God, this is where I'm like, I'm really boring. I really like work to the detriment of sometimes where I need to force myself to stop. Yeah, I mean, I love cameras, I love videography, and making videos. That's always been a big passion. And Warhammer's been a good way to sort of channel that in a creative way. Used to do a lot of climbing. I enjoyed playing board games as well. I've got like a bunch behind me that you might be able to see. Yeah, I play badminton sometimes. That's quite good fun.
I've actually just gotten into badminton, believe it or not.
Oh
So
my God.
that's actually, it's, you know what? It sounds dumb, but the missus does it. And she said to me, "Oh, do you want to come play with me one day?" And I bloody loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely smashed her.
Is
But,
that
you know, I
not
loved
what
it.
happened when you two got together? That missus asked you to play with you one day, and you bloody loved it, and then you got together. Is
No,
that
that's a different story.
Oh, is that a different story? Sorry. Okay.
That's a different story. Yeah. Wrong missus. Don't mention that. So, with respect to your channel and the painting phase and everything, you've been going the absolute clappers, like I said earlier. Where do you see yourselves in like 6 months' time, year time?
I'm not sure. It's a really, it's quite like a difficult thing. Like it'd be great to like have more growth, still be making cool videos. But like crikey, with how the internet is and algorithms and people watching, like even if we're in a similar position to we are now, like that would be great. So yeah, I don't know. Keep being able to pay my mortgage. I think that would be wonderful.
The dream. Keep a roof over your head.
Yeah.
And also, the other day, you've started releasing in conjunction with merch. I saw with Artis Opus, you dry brushes, you had your dice and other bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Do you guys see yourself going the Duncan Rhodes route and releasing painting phase paints?
Oh crikey, it's not something that I've put any thought into at all. Because the amount of prep that must be involved in that must be insane. So I mean, Duncan, like partnering with a company or something like that, I think is the way to do it. And they've done really, really well and are very deserving of their success. Like I hear nothing but good things about Teeth and Coats. And like I think the way they marketed it with the 3 paints and this, that, and the other is like a really good, sort of sensible way. I mean, never say never, but it's certainly not on my to-do list at the moment.
Cool.
Well, let's catch up with some checks. We have had a couple of questions. So let me go back. I've got to go right back. I hate going back in chat. Right. So Love LY Knockers is your partner giving you stink eye?
Yeah, she is, yeah.
Fair enough. Yes, she is. There we go. And then Rich from Inferno Miniatures asked, "Do you still love GW miniatures and games?"
Yeah, massively. Yeah. I'm making we're doing a video at the minute. We got sent a 3D printer, and we're sort of doing a 3D printer versus Games Workshop kind of thing, and like we still love Workshop. It's still great. I think all the miniatures are fantastic. Like they're leading the way, and they are so popular because they're really, really good. So yeah.
And Knockers in with another question. What's your favourite board game?
Oh crikey! I'm gonna have to look behind me.
Sure,
We got.
that's like picking a favourite child.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what's my favourite at the minute. I think.
Give us your top 3 in no particular order.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's one Battle Masters.
Yeah, Rich says there's one Battle Masters, and now you can take Battle Masters off your bingo cards.
Yeah. I like Catan. I like. We got Brass Birmingham recently, and that was fun. So those 2. Ticket to Ride is good. we kind of got like a reverse Jenga game recently where all of the bits are like weird shapes and you have to stack them instead of take them out. So that was interesting. But yeah.
So Shane's back in the comments throwing shade. We were sent a 3D printer. Red dot appears in the shape of a GW logo appears on your forehead. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. My sort of, I was in the Jeff was like Team GW and I was Team 3D printer. And it was really, really good fun. Like figuring out we're doing like who can make the best Black Templar, Games Workshop or a 3D printer. So yeah, it was an interesting one. Don't want to spoil it. Hopefully it'll be out this week.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that one. That's going to be interesting. Going on to the painting phase, were you expecting it to be as big as it is? Is this like what your master plan, or did it just completely shock you?
I'd certainly hope so. Yeah. So like it started with me and Jeff. Had an opportunity to bring Peach on board, and that was definitely like part of the plan. Because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to keep paying Peachy. So the success from that is wonderful. Yeah. And long may it continue.
And when, for a personal question, when are we going to see the next Necromunda episode? Because, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Honestly, we get asked so much. It has been filmed. So currently editing it. It might be January. With LVO slap bang in the middle. It might be a bit of a struggle, but definitely in February if it isn't out in January.
And I mean, Shane just said something about GW, which I'm not going to repeat because it's controversial after the Old World preview day today. I'm sure yesterday. I'm not sure you know what he was saying. But
I don't. I haven't kept up to date with the news today, so I don't know.
Yeah. We'll move on anyway, because
stick it in the chat.
Yeah, it's in the chat. You can read it in the chat. I'll let you read it in the chat.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Doug says he'll say it in a minute, so it's okay. Doug will say it.
Okay.
So, yeah, but on that sort of topic, obviously you and Peachy both work for GW. Are you a Valrak? Are you on their blacklist, or do you get on okay with them?
Since starting the painting phase, I've had absolutely no contact with them whatsoever. Like they make 100 million profit a year. Can't imagine they'll be that fussed about us. Would it surprise me if I found out we were on like a no-fly list? No. But would it bother me? Equally, no.
So, yeah, I remember when you did when the World Eaters release came, and you basically ran around every shop you could find trying to get the combat patrol together.
Yeah. Because I think it was towards, they've been having stock issues for a while, haven't they? So trying to get, we desperately wanted to film a video for the World Eaters. I'd ordered through Element Games, but then I got an email through them saying that they'd been a bit short-changed or what have you, and there was a delay. So then I ended up going to Games Workshop to buy them instead. But it was a tricky one. Yeah. Getting kill team boxes, that's really hard.
So just so you know, Nubicon said, as long as you don't print models, give them away to anybody with a camera for free, and then claim that you're out of stock. I would say you'd be a win over Games Workshop any day. That's what Simon was too scared to say in case he lost his 15,000 followers. I've got 600, so I'm not really going to miss.
Nothing to do with followers. It's just I say enough controversial stuff about Games Workshop without saying it live on camera on top of everything else.
So, I just want to kind of go away from Games Workshop and stuff like that now. So, see when you said that you did a bit of climbing, or have you climbed any Munros, or is it just indoor climbing that you would have done back in the day, or would you have done went abroad and climbed anywhere?
So yeah, I was big into my bouldering, and like training indoors and kind of using it as like a gym or what have you. But yeah, I've been like used to go out climbing in the Peak District quite a lot. I've been to Spain a couple of times, like Alicante and stuff like that. The limestone in Spain is amazing. So that's really, really cool. I'd quite like to do that again.
So you've got,
Need to lose some weight first.
so you pretty much you've got a good grip, is what you're saying.
Uh,
You had any scary moments when you've been climbing in? Was it free climbing that you did, or was it like climbing with ropes?
Yeah, no, always with ropes. I'm not like a Alex Honnold, like wannabe or anything like that. Like free soloing or any of that nonsense. No, I'm just like tie a rope on me, and then if the bolt that I'm attached to goes below my feet, then I get really scared. So yeah, quite a scaredy cat in that regard. Yeah,
I
keep it safe.
I heard a story online, and I was watching some podcast, and the guy was saying that he was doing this like climbing America, and he was really struggling. He was getting the old disco leg, and he was really struggling to find where a foothold was. And he says he looked round, he went, and he says, "Hey man," and he looked round, and this guy standing there with a cigarette on where he was, right beside him.
Yeah,
we just like his fingers just showing you that. Yeah, just put your fingers in there, and he had he was wearing like tennis shoes.
yeah.
And like this guy said, like he had like crampons and ropes, and this guy just with a wee rolly cigarette, a wee pouch of talcum powder just hanging off, going, yeah, just go in there, and he was like up like a rat up a drain pipe. He said he was. So
yeah. There's some crazy people out there. Like it's like I kind of got into climbing when I was sort of, I don't know what, 18, I think. And watching loads of the videos of like, oh, these guys are crazy. Like they'll climb up without ropes and then base jump off. This guy free solos up mountains, and then you look back and like most of them are dead now. It's pretty bad. So I always played it very, very safe.
see now. Just because you're talking about playing it safe there, now see if you're ever in the great town of Leek and you want to play it safe by going to a really good shop to buy some Warhammer miniatures, or Boltstorm Wargaming is a place to be. They are our sponsors. You can buy all types of storms,
Smooth.
bolts, wars, and sometimes games. Sometimes you'll see Simon the Influencer there with his 15,000 followers, and you'll never ever
Not
see
all
him
at the same
Casey
time.
there.
We're not all in there. There's not enough room.
Bingo. Bingo, click. If you click, all we need now is for somebody to say the BM word, and we've got a full house, folks. We've got a full house. Casey, over to you, my friend.
The BM word's been mentioned already, Dunk, so someone has got a full house in there.
We've got ticked it off.
Yeah. I'm going to stay on the climbing thing for a little bit, and this is just something that's popped up recently for me. It's always something I've looked at and thought, like, of indoor walls, I wouldn't mind giving a go. Never really tried it. The most I've ever done climbing is I've walked up Snowdon a couple of times. Not once, a couple of times. Yeah. I've got a dislocated collarbone that I've never had fixed. So I always look at climbing walls and think, is it going to be worth it? What sort of advice would you give to someone starting out?
Oh, crikey. I mean, I don't want to say definitely try it with a dislocated collarbone because it might be really bad. Yeah, like, I mean, I try bouldering first because you can do that without having to learn all the ropes. You don't have to get all the kit. You can just grab a pair of higher climbing shoes and just go to town. And just be prepared for like 6 to 8 year old children to be way better than you, because it's all about like power to weight ratio and how long you've been climbing. So if that 8 year old has been climbing for 4 years, and you've just started, like it's genuinely impressive, like what kids can do when they've been climbing for a while. You might do something and think, yes, I'm really strong and I trained for this, and then just a kid will just float up it and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm never going to do that again.
Can I just jump in here? I want to ask a question before it goes out my simple little mind. At the peak of your climbing powers, Do you
Yeah.
think you would have beat a gladiator on the wall
Ooh,
back
good
in the
question.
day?
Gladiators is coming back as well, so
Yeah.
that's
It's relevant. It's
appropriate.
topical. Well
Relevant.
done, Monk.
It's coming back again. So what did they have to do on the climbing wall? Because I can't really remember.
Just climb up a wall before they had like a 10-second head start, 15 seconds if you're a girl, and basically Cobra caught everybody. You think you would have been able to beat Cobra?
No.
I always wanted to be up the wall with Jet chasing me, and I'd let her catch me.
Yeah, but unfortunately, she bats for the same teammates, so she wouldn't have been interested.
You just got to catch me, though, Dunk. Just catch me.
Thank you, lot. Yeah, so Gladiators, you've completely derailed me now. Bollocks, Chuck. Yeah, so with the climbing stuff, and I know you said that, you know, you sort of look in the future, maybe wanting to go on holiday, go somewhere and do it. Where would be your ideal place to just stick a pin in the map and say, I'm doing that, I'm going there?
There's an island in Greece called Kalymnos, which is just like cliffs everywhere, and it's all marketed to climbers. Like they have a client there. Usually, like the tourist season in Greece is over the summer and it finishes in October, and they shut down for the winter. Whereas in like Kalymnos, they're like, cool, it's getting colder, climbing season, and it's just all geared towards climbers. Like it's quite tricky to get to. I think there's no direct flights. You have to get a ferry or whatever. But I mean that might have changed since I researched it like years and years ago. But yeah, I'd love to go there.
And you wouldn't look at something like one of the big peaks, one of the, you know, get your money together, go on your expedition out to like K2 or Everest or any of that sort of stuff.
So like I don't know if I like the cold, and I don't want to die. And like they're mega expensive. Like to go up, don't you need like, isn't it around like £1 million to get up Everest or something like that? All the Sherpas and
yeah, I knew there was holiday companies that you could do it with and stuff, but I don't know what they sort of charge and what their rates are. Everest has only sort of come to back in my mind recently because the documentary with the bloke from Made in Chelsea looking for his brother up it and stuff, and yeah, it just seems a bit. Well.
Yeah, like it's pretty mental. But yeah, I think like I'm way more into climbing than mountaineering, for example. So if someone was like, "Here's a cliff," I'd be like, "Ooh." Yeah, cool. Or in reality, I'd probably just stay home and play guitar or something like that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Stay safe.
Yeah, man.
So I've got to catch up with the chat. So Shane's throwing shade at Casey, funnily enough. What advice would Pat give? Fix the collarbone. What else inappropriate does he want to try with broken bones? Deadlifts or alligator wrestling?
I'm wrestling. That's fine.
What, wrestling alligators?
No, wrestling with a broken collar.
Oh, okay. Rich Infirmamentia says Phase is a good gladiator name. Shane's then coming with this just going to be an OAP Wolfman. Yeah, I've got to announce that I am joining the Gladiators team. I am the OAP Wolfman. That's before Dunk said it.
Wolf
Right.
lives near me somewhere. Yeah, I'll say that. Wolf lives in Bromley. Bang.
I thought you lived in New Zealand.
No, he's around here somewhere.
When it moved, Bromley's moved to New Zealand. The UK didn't want it anymore. Right. Anyway, so moving right along. So we've briefly touched on what you do outside of being a YouTube superstar. Obviously, there's climbing. So what of an evening when you're not playing board games and you're not climbing walls and playing badminton, what do you and the good lady like to sit down and watch on TV? What are some of your favourite TV programs and films?
Oh, crikey. I mean, I'm enjoying Reacher at the minute.
Yes.
Second season. Just watching him, you know, just straight up murder people, I guess, is always good fun. I'm rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine at the minute on season 2. And oh, crikey. Love a good murder mystery, that kind of thing. Is it like Netflix do those? Is it Holden Copley? No, I think that might be an estate agent, but I don't know. Like they do like some kind of like murder mystery type things, like Lupin and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of what we're on with at the minute. Movies wise, I mean, yeah, I grew up watching Star Wars, the original like trilogy. I really enjoyed that, and that's kind of influenced my sort of career into liking like video and movies and all that kind of thing. Trying to think what the last movie I watched was. Something god awful on Amazon Prime about people drinking blood, but they weren't vampires. I can't remember what it was called, but it was appalling. Yeah.
So what's your favourite video of all the videos you've done in the Paint Face so far? What one sticks out as you had the most fun making and you really enjoyed?
And don't say Daz Wall because he's here, because that's just pandering to the audience.
What, the video that the interview with Daz Maul was my favourite video. I should be drinking from his mug, but it's in the office. Shout out to Daz. I think oh crikey, I don't know if I can say it, but like my first Iron Warriors video that I did, I was really happy with. And I had really good fun filming that and editing it and sort of coming up with all the ideas. The painting a guard army in like trying to paint it in 12 hours. That was really fun. And like the ultimate guide to painting yellow that we did, that was really good fun. So there's quite a few.
And even though he's now left the chat after he came in the chat, just to plug that he was going to be at LVA with you, are you looking forward to having a cup of tea with Warpgate Studios, or is it just one of those chores where you think, you know what, he's been badgering me on Instagram for ages, he keeps DMing and emailing me, Jeff, we're just going to have to go?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the only reason that we're going for a cup of tea. It's going to be a very expensive cup of tea. Byron of Artis Opus asked us if we would be keen. So heading over with those guys for like a week, I think it is, or something like that. So really, really looking forward to that.
How good is Peachy that he can't make it?
He had some other commitments, like some other filming bits and bobs that he's doing. But I think he's been to the US quite a bit with Workshop, like pre-COVID. So he's probably done it a few times. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that not all three of us are there, but we'll have fun. Yeah.
Oh, just before, people are sending me, there's a question comment thing, the question bubble on Instagram, which I've just become aware of. Just before I hand you over to Dunk, we have got a couple of questions on that. Some people are professional. Given the massive changes to the hobby, particularly over recent years, is there anything that's changed that you've not you're not as fond of, or anything that you miss? It's a big question.
I'm probably not a particularly good answer for that one, because I haven't sort of been reintroduced to the hobby for such a long period of time myself, so loads of stuff's still quite new. I don't really know in some regards what's come before to miss it, if that makes sense. I mean, 1 week pre-orders, do miss those, but that's probably it.
And I don't know, I think this is probably for me, because I'm the person with the hat on. Why are you with a jumper and a hat at home? Because I live in the UK and gas and electric's really expensive. You don't.
So just before I ask another question, see on Netflix that Fool Me Once, don't watch it. It really builds up for the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then it's just shit. Just like it's not.
Oh, is that? Oh, let me have, because I think we were thinking about watching that. Is it not particularly good?
Well, it builds up say like, oh, what happened to the, like, basically Michelle Keegan's husband dies and then she sees him on a video camera and you're like, oh, what happened to him? And it's just all that shit. I just didn't like it. It just built up so much, and then in the last couple of episodes, it just fell flat. It's one of the poorest Harlem Coben, whatever his name is, adaptations that they've done. I thought it was pretty weak. Even though I tried to get the guy who was in it on and said it was great just to see if he'd come on, but he never responded to me. So I can actually give my honest opinion now. So
Not
that's
not
unconcertified.
talk up in yourself because you've been knocked back there.
Pretty much, yeah. So, see, obviously you do your videos, and then how long does it take for you to edit the video? Because unlike us, our IT guy is upstairs playing Red Dead Redemption 2 with his friends right now, and then when he decides to upload it onto our YouTube channel, if he's not falling out with me, my 16-year-old son will eventually upload it. So how long does it take you from when you finish a video to have it edited to have it put on the channel?
So it varies quite a bit. So with the chat shows, what we used to do was film them all on, like, 3 or 4 cameras, depending on what the setup was. Get all the footage, link it all together, and then go through and edit it. Whereas now I sit there with like a little control box that I plug all my cameras into. That goes into my PC, and then I can edit it in real time. So the chat shows are really, really quick. Like I'll bring them into the editing software, put the list of like Patreon names at the end, and then try to add in like pictures and miniatures if there's specific things that we're talking about. Usually if it's like older miniatures, or if we're just like, oh yes, Primaris Intercessors, if people are watching a sort of like a miniature painting Warhammer podcast, maybe assume that they know what those are. So yeah, those doesn't really take me very long. But like the painting videos take a lot longer. Yeah. So that might be, might be, depending on the video, best part of a week or something like that.
And do you still do your wedding stuff on the sideline, or are you just is this you 100% into this?
So I'm definitely doing a lot less weddings, and I've got an editor for the weddings now. So I'll film them and hand off the footage, which has freed up a lot of my time to do like the YouTube stuff. Yeah. So,
and does your missus, does she paint, or is she involved in any sort of hobby aspect with you?
Not at the moment, no. She said she might be interested in painting. We bought a Lord of the Rings game, like not the GW game, but there's like a board game version of Lord of the Rings, and that has some miniatures of the Fellowship in there. So she said she'd be keen to try and paint some of them. So yeah, might have a late night in the office and give it a go, or bring some paints back here. Yeah.
And as a Star Wars fan, if you had your ideal trilogy, where would you like to see Star Wars go? Would you like to go to like how the Jedi were formed, the Old Republic, or would you like to go further forward in the future where there's obviously there's no Skywalkers left because Palpatine killed them all, but like where would you like to see Star Wars go yourself?
I think like just something not connected to the Star Wars that we know, just sort of like, a smuggler or someone doing something, a smaller story, shades of grey, less good versus evil kind of thing, which is tricky because that's kind of like what Star Wars is very much sort of based on. But I think like I really enjoyed Andor. I thought that was really good. He was just sort of trying not to get involved, and then obviously did. But I think that was my favourite, like most recent. Well, definitely probably my favourite Star Wars TV series. Just so quite like the world building and the other elements of it, and it's like, oh, he's in prison and he's making this for the Empire and so on and so forth. So yeah, Yeah, maybe just like, you don't really need to know. Like, are they Sith? Are they a Jedi? Who knows? They've got a laser sword and it's of orange or something. Like, who cares?
For me personally, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. Like, I've even named my son. Look, I wanted to call him Anakin,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
my wife wasn't having that. And then I wanted to call him Boba Fett, but she wasn't having that either. But for me personally, I'd like to go back to either how the Sith were formed, because not a lot of people, unless you're a true Star Wars fan, you don't actually know how the Sith became the Sith, or even go a wee bit further forward than that and go to Darth Bane and the Ruler 2, because Darth Bane is now canon because it was mentioned. So I'd like to see, for me personally, I'd like to them to go back, because obviously Emperor Palpatine won, killed all the Skywalkers. There's no balance to the Force now. So like for me personally, like I think that's where I would go. I didn't like going on under. I didn't like the first 3 or 4 episodes because I thought it was extremely slow, and I thought there was a lot of nonsense going about it. But I did like the ending of it. It's like Bale and Skull and Ahsoka, probably the best character, apart from Mando, probably the best additional character that's out there just now. And I think maybe Mandalorian, Kathleen Kennedy ruined that, in my opinion, because they've seen how popular Grogu was. And thank God they took Grogu away from Luke Skywalker, because we all know that Kylo Ren didn't murder baby Grogu.
Yeah, I think I really liked season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I thought that was really solid. They lost me in season 3 because it was just sort of like Din was a bit like, oh, I'm this cool badass bounty hunter. Oh, I fell in this water. Oh, I'm so clumsy, and that kind of thing. It kind of like, I don't know, put me off it a bit. I'd prefer it just them going around and Grogu trying to eat frogs and stuff. Yeah.
Basically, Grogu turning into Jabba the Hutt would have been absolutely epic, because he just eats everything. Like, he just murdered all those women's babies. You know what I mean?
That was pretty dark, that one, wasn't it?
Just ate the
Absolutely
children.
genocide.
That's all he did. And then he stole one and then ate it at the end. It's like when you tell your child not to do something, and then like 3 hours later you found out that they've still done the thing you told them not to do. You try to strangle them, force choke them. Not that I've ever tried that, but I have.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I tried it today, mate. Yeah, he's a little shit. So I'm going to bring us back into business a little bit.
Yeah.
And with respect to the painting phase. And I'll tell you why. I am a big fan of hobbying on the cheap where possible. I think there's a lot of stuff out there and it's great. And, prices of it are quite extortionate at the minute. And what really sung to me recently was your video where you were doing you had your different sets of clippers, your different techniques of doing the weathering on the vehicles and stuff, and little bits like that.
Yeah.
That I bloody loved. And I thought it was brilliant because you've gone into it, you've done some research onto like, here's the low end, here's the high end. Would you have any sort of further mind to do videos like that, sort of look out their different products, different ranges?
Yeah, definitely. Like we're planning like a sequel to that at the minute. So because it was received really well, and yeah, I quite like doing like because you hear stuff like, oh my god, you need to try this, they're the best, like the God Hand clippers, for example. Like they are amazing. Like they're so fun to use, which sounds weird for a pair of clippers. Like it's quite hard to describe just how easily they cut through plastic. And then going back to some of the Citadel ones, you just like, are these even sharp? But yeah, I thought like, it's like, how good are they in comparison to something that, most hobbyists would have, or something along those lines? Yeah. Like, is it worth it? And the answer was generally, it depends how much money you want to spend. Like, yes, if you can afford it. But it was interesting seeing the different results and all that sort of stuff. And like the thumbnail, we used the AK like splatter tool, which is like 4 toothbrushes like welded together. And you look at it and go, "What on earth is that?" and it worked. People clicked on the video. So yeah.
I remember before the video came out is when we had Peachy on, and even he was talking about it, and it just seemed like this weird, surreal, mutant mishmash thing the way he was describing it, and then just to see it in action was quality. And I'll give them a shout out in the chat as well. But On Dark Wings out there, another absolute hero for doing stuff on the cheap and being absolute recommending. You know, you don't have to go big all the time. And they will be joining us soon for a chat as well, which is lovely. As it was Christmas recently, and this is something I threw my mates under the bus a little while ago, and we had a raging debate on this. But what is the best Christmas chocolate out of the following? Heroes, Quality Street, Roses, and Celebrations.
I always go with Roses because that's what I had growing up. Reminds me of childhood Christmas. If I didn't have that connection, I would probably say Quality Street.
Okay. Good, solid choices. And given you Christmas dinner and what that is, what is something that you have to have on your plate every year, regardless?
Roast potatoes, without question. Don't care about the meat. I could probably have a veggie Christmas dinner and not actually be that bothered. But if I've got roast potatoes, then we're all good.
Duck fat or just fat?
What?
Like, duck fat roast potatoes or goose fat roast potatoes?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think I've cooked them in either, to be fair. I usually just use like vegetable oil or olive oil or something like that. I'll have to give it a go.
Gordon Ramsay in the corner there, popping up.
Yeah.
It's actually funny you mentioned roast potatoes, because this year my missus decided that she wanted to try and do anything but. And it was like, no. And she's from Sunderland, and she has to have like 5 different types of mashed veg on it. It's like, no, roast potatoes, you can't not have them. So it's good to hear somebody else reaffirm that for me.
They're a staple. Yeah, like, I think you can't have a roast without roast potatoes. I think it's, I'd go as far as to say that it's sacrilege if you don't have them.
For me, it would have to be boiled Brussels sprouts and then pan fried with balsamic vinegar. Oh, baby. Amazing, honestly.
Gordon Ramsay.
Jesus Christ.
Balsamic vinegar, are you what?
Yeah. Have you tried balsamic vinegar and vanilla ice cream? Oh my god, that's a life changer, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. Oh, you think that,
You
right?
come around with the sprinkling it from a hike on your dinner as well, and everything's got gold leaf on it. Jesus Christ, done.
Honestly,
cream bay over here. Fucking hell.
I seen it on YouTube last week when I was supposed to be working, and I was like, right, I'm going to go and check this out. So I just left what I was doing my work and got some vanilla ice cream and put some balsamic vinegar on it. Oh my fucking god. It's fucking amazing.
The fact that you've got balsamic vinegar in your house that you can do that, then you are way more middle class than you ever make out to be yourself to be.
Oh, crikey, yeah, I've got balsamic vinegar as well.
Yeah.
But I don't have ice cream, so I'll have to get some ice cream and try it. Yeah.
I'm not claiming the balsamic vinegar in my cupboard. That's the missus'. It's not mine.
But do you know where you can't get balsamic vinegar, which is a shame? Bolton Wargaming and Leek.
That's true.
They sell everything else. Wars, games,
there is an Iceland just round the corner, so you never know. If you made the request, you could send
you ain't
someone out for it.
You're getting balsamic vinegar from Iceland. What are you talking about?
Unless you could buy it like frozen.
Okay, well these are Morrison's down the other side. Well, I don't know.
It'll be in the Lidl. I think it'll be in the Lidl or the Aldi, whichever one it is down the road.
Well, that's further away. That's further to walk.
So,
I was giving you a geography lesson about Leek here in Staffordshire.
Yeah, no, absolutely fine. I think Morrison's, you'd be all right for your balsamic vinegar.
oh, definitely. So, like, in the painting phase, like, you are all massive. And like, one of the questions that you ask all your guests is, "What's their favourite cheese?" What sort of cheese would you not take from your cheese board? What's a staple cheese you have to have in your cheese board?
I think brie is always one of my favourites. I do love a good brie, so I don't think I'd get rid of that. I quite like blue cheese. I wouldn't want to get rid of. Bit of Stilton, love a bit of Stilton. Some smoked cheese maybe, but I'd probably get rid of that. So I'll go with brie and Stilton. Yeah.
Simon, sorry, I was
No,
over.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was
Food chat took over.
just thinking about going to Morrison's to get some balsamic vinegar and some ice cream. That's what I was
Vanilla,
thinking
it
about.
has to be vanilla.
Okay, I can't use Neapolitan or anything like that. Okay, fine.
No.
So back to the paint. Oh, actually, back to the chat a minute because stuff's coming through. But I don't know if it's relevant because it disappears after about 30 seconds. So all we've got so far is Shane says blue. It has to be Costello's S-tier cheese.
That is
that's
very good. Yeah, that is a great cheese.
I'm not really a cheese connoisseur, so I'll take your word for it. I don't mind a bit of Stilton though. Is that like Stilton? With it being a blue cheese? Or?
Yeah, like Costello's it's almost like a soft blue cheese, I think. And it's a taste sensation, one might say. Yeah.
I am going food shopping tomorrow morning, so it's going to be balsamic vinegar, blue cheese.
You're going to have
a cheese.
Vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
You'll be out here next week.
Oh, come on now, I won't be able to make it next week because I'll have an heart attack from all the cholesterol. So, back to the painting phase. Who's been some of your favourite guests? I don't want you to name a favourite because, again, it's like naming a favourite child, but who've been some of your favourite guests? I mean, you've had some really big names in the hobby on. Bob Naismith is one that really sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
So who've been some of your favourite guests?
Yeah, Bob was really great. Just because I think, like, cause he works at Games Workshop, sculpted the first Space Marine, and then didn't really work there for much longer. Like, he just sort of like joined, made probably the most important miniature of all time ever, and then was just like, I think I'm going to go freelance and do my own thing.
So basically you're basically the non-digital version of you.
No, I didn't do anything important at Games Workshop. Let's be real. But yeah, like, and how he's made the move from like physically sculpting over to digital, and he's kept up with all the technology, and he has his own Patreon, and like, I think he's incredible, like really, really cool. So he's done, like, he's very, like, a very inspiring chap. I feel like the chat we had with Tom Hibbard, that was quite a like a eye-opening experience. He was a product designer, so when people say, like, why can't Games Workshop make a wet palette, he can go.
He was brilliant. He's been on twice, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he was really insightful.
Yeah, so his insight into how the business works from the product development side of it, and, you know, why the paint pots are the way they are, and being like, you know, like, people saying, why don't Games Workshop put all their paints in dropper bottles? And he said, well, what are dropper bottles good for? And you're like, putting them in an airbrush. And he's like, cool, do we sell airbrushes? No. And making the product look different, you know, the Citadel paint pot, you instantly recognize it because it's the only one that's different from everybody else. And that was kind of like quite like he didn't really say anything completely revolutionary, but just sort of connected the dots for me, I think, and a lot of other people that watched, because they found it super interesting. So
it was,
yeah,
for me, it was when he was talking about I think it was an idea that was floating about before he left was the contrast paints, and he thought they had just binned it.
Yeah.
And then they came out a few years later, and now everybody's doing contrast paints, but
Yeah.
they're called speed paints,
Yeah.
or they're putting their own different name on it. I've loved both of his videos. I think I've watched both his videos a couple of times.
Yeah.
You don't automatically pick up everything he's saying
No.
until you
No,
watch it maybe the second or third time.
Yeah, there's so much in there. Yeah, and like contrast paints, like what a coup for Games Workshop, being that next sort of like step in painting, like Army Painter followed with Speed Paint and Speed Paint 2, and then is it Vallejo have their Express paints, and I think they're the only sort of 3 at the minute. Is that right? Potentially.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. I think there's maybe somebody else, but yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, like massive game changer. And then for Workshop, I mean, crikey, they must have made everybody's playing catch up with them. And Dipping Inks, that was it. Green Stuff World.
Here we go. I work for Green Stuff World,
Yeah.
you know. What
Get your plug in there, you go.
Get that plug in there, Rich.
I think we need to add that to the bingo list if Inferno Miniatures mentions Green Stuff World. To be honest.
He works for Green Stuff World, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to. He only mentions it in his stories about 5 times an hour.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
It's good to see Nubicron stills in the chat throwing shade at everybody. As he said, I instantly recognised the Citadel paints because his Celestial Grey has dried out the second they left the shop.
I mean, it's great when me and Jeff made the like the product video, like expensive versus cheap. We used Citadel paints to mix, because I knew that if I picked any flesh color or grey or white, it would be awful. And some of them like were all sealed, and it was just like chalk in there. It was grim. Yeah. But suited the needs for the video. So
White Scar is the only Citadel white that doesn't come out like clumps of grey goo. In my experience. So there you go, there's a tip for you. Another question I've got, which is just purely whimsical. How many cups of tea do you think the 3 of you get through in a day when you're at the painting phase?
I mean, Peachy the most. I think I'm probably 2 or 3, and then Jeff maybe the same. Yeah. Whereas Peachy, well, it easily over 5.
Yeah, he likes it.
Yeah, I could probably still count them on both hands, but yeah, definitely over 5. Yeah.
And biscuits for tea obviously is really important. That's cookies for anyone from the US that's watching. So biscuits, what biscuits do you recommend? And are you a dunker, or do you just eat them on the side?
I usually just eat them on the side. I've never been a massive dunker. I feel like that's my secret shame. Unless they're a really boring biscuit, like a nice biscuit or malted milks or something, you have to dip them. A chocolate hobnob, I'm a big fan of. I think they're probably my favourite. Ginger biscuits, ginger nuts, I think they're wonderful. Yeah, I think they're my 2 go-tos. Yeah.
I think my go-to biscuit, it seemed always to be an upper class biscuit, would be a Fox's Classic for some reason.
Yeah. Hey, like the Fox's selection box is always great at Christmas. Yeah.
Whenever people came round, the Fox's Classics always get fired out. Usually it was just like the cheap custard creams, or if you were really poor, orange creams, which I do have a soft spot for. So when you're not drinking tea or drinking Nuln Oil, as some people say, I've never ever got that, are you a Pepsi man or a Coca-Cola man?
I honestly, probably neither. like canned like fizzy drinks are always banned in the house when I was growing up, so I just don't have the taste for them. In a blind taste test, I'm not sure I could tell the difference.
But if you're to have a can of fizzy pop, right, as they say in England, right, or as they say in Scotland, a can of ginger, what would you eat with it? What would be your crisp of choice?
Oh, okay. Oh, crikey. See, now we're on to the real questions. Favorite crisp are so hard. I mean, I had some Pom Bears for my lunch today, and I felt like I was 6 years old, but I loved every moment. Like ready salted Pringles, I think are really solid. Or like, just a salt and vinegar crisp, they're also great. Yeah, who knows?
What is it with Pringles, salt and vinegar that just basically melt the side of your face as though you're taking a stroke or you've got fucking Bell's palsy or something, man? Because like half a tube of them and your face is disintegrating, man.
Yeah, if you're not in physical pain when you're eating salt and vinegar Pringles, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I think. That's
like if you don't want the inside of your mouth for at least a month, 2 tubs of salt and vinegar Pringles inside an hour.
Are you going to address this shade that's been thrown your way in the chat?
Yeah, it's about time.
Only if Nubicron gets it right, because it wasn't pan-fried potatoes, it was pan-fried Brussels sprouts. You twat. Right. And battered Mars bars, if you've never tried a battered Mars bar, you've never lived. And if you've never tried battered ice cream,
if you've never tried battered ice cream with balsamic vinegar.
There you go, boys. That's why I've got no hair. You know what I mean? I actually, the reason I've shaved all my hair off on Tuesday, because I'm starting to thin, as King said in SpongeBob SquarePants, the movie, the very first one, which was the best one in my opinion. It was thinning. I decided on Tuesday just to shave it all off. That was
yeah. It's a decision that many of us are going to have to make.
No kissing, straight in, shave it off. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Get it done and dusted. Yeah. It's only hair at the end of the day. I've got plenty of my toes. Do you know what I mean? I don't need any more hair than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got it in all the important places.
Yeah, exactly.
Just transplant it from your toes to your head.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't say McCoy's salt and vinegar are pain threshold compared to Pringles. Right, and I think we should there's that guy that did the Scoville the Scoville levels where how hot hot is. Yeah, I think Pringles are like 10,000 whatever he calls them, like Megatrons or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I mean.
Would they call them Scoville? Would be in the Scoville level? Just would you still Scoville?
Scovilles, yeah.
Create one yourself. Call it the dunk level, and just how much does your face implode when you're eating salt and vinegar crisps?
How much
there you go.
Skin comes off the side of your cheek?
Yeah,
yeah.
Honestly, I'm fat enough. I don't need to be any fatter eating more crisps. Like, see this now. Like, I'm going through a right phase of eating the What's It Crunchy ones. Oh, they're just banging, man. I love What's It's. Crunchy what?
Oh, they do the like the hot and spicy like jumbo What's It's. They're like really big. They're great. Big fan of that.
And then you can't feel your teeth because they've all like congealed to the back of your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're eating your cheese, right? Going back, keeping on the food trend here, this will be my last question before I pass over to our London Governor Casey.
This stream just turned into food.
What type of biscuit would one eat when you're having a nice brie or a nice Stilton?
I'm dead basic when it comes to biscuits. I really like a Ritz cracker.
Solid.
Yeah. Quite often on sale. Solid.
Aldi doner quite good. I like to go cheap and cheerful, but I like to have expensive cheese on cheap biscuits. It keeps me poor.
Casey, you need to put us back on track before we hire a camper van and go driving around Italy cooking food.
You know what? I would watch that show, the three of us in a camper van driving around the
I
country.
wouldn't want to be stuck in a camper van with you two long term.
You'd be the Gordon Ramsay of the show. That's fine. Me and Duncan run off into the sea naked, and you just be there standing there, like, oh, fucking idiots, Durst. You know, it'll work. Yeah. Where are we in the chat? Shane's plugging his chilies, and you can't buy hot sauce in bulk store more game. And there we go. Caught up with the chat. Yeah. So we're going very, very much off topic, and I know that's obviously something that you guys are fan of on the painting phase. We do it all the time because for us, it's not just about we can sit here and be like, oh, what did you paint last week? And that's just boring. That
was my next question.
Oh, sorry, Simon, but yeah. Do you think, looking at how you guys have set up and how you've progressed on, if someone was to come to you for advice and what do I need to do here? What should I be looking to do with respect to starting like a YouTube channel or a chat show or anything? What do you think you'd sort of reach out to and reply with advice on?
Oh, crikey. Be quite. I think one of the things you have to do when you're being creative, but from like a business sort of point of view, like one thing I do with painting videos is I'll watch them back and I'll turn them off when I'm bored. Like I'll treat it like I'm watching it as a normal sort of video. Like if I'm watching YouTube or something like that. So like killing your darlings, I think it's called, like where you're like, oh, but I really want it to do this, and it's like, yeah, but does it make it a good video? No. Okay, get rid of it. And that kind of thing. Like, but you have to be quite strict with yourself and just get lots of advice, keep learning. Like I learned how to be a videographer off of YouTube, like for years, and I never feel like I stopped learning. So. And you don't need really great cameras or anything like that. I think it's just you can do it all on your phone. You could probably edit it on your phone, make life quite a bit harder. But yeah. And then if you're doing a podcast, I think just trying to have fun is the most important thing. Keep it fun, keep it lighthearted. Like I want to look forward to going into work and enjoying myself and that kind of thing. So I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
And this will be my last question for you, Pat, but I say thank you very much for coming on and having a chat with us. Obviously you guys, you got your crack, you're authentic, you can see how the conversations flow. And even I think where Dunk touched on that, we've been going since like August. We've done some streams before this and built up to it. How do you think how important do you feel having a chemistry between the hosts and the guys doing it is? Because, you can all sit there and be very formal, like you read in the news and this codex came out and we've got this brush. But is it really important to just be authentic, do you feel?
I guess it depends on like what you're going for. Like say like Auspex Tactics, for example, I think is a perfect example of he's not necessarily known for being humorous or having amazing videography, but he's brilliant at presenting information. Like he makes YouTube videos that are kind of, they look like PowerPoint, but the value that he provides out of that is amazing. And he does really, really well, like very deservedly so. So I think, if you're going for like a fun sort of informal thing, I think being able to have like, a conversation that can ebb and flow and change direction and, an anecdote and this, that and the other and so on and so forth is really good. Is it required? Probably not, but again, depending on your audience and what have you. I think if Auspex Tactics was like, oh, here's a video on how to play Custodes in 10th edition, but let me tell you about my favourite cheese, everyone would be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for what we do, you know, nobody's coming to us to learn how to play 10th edition, so we better be friendly and funny instead. Yeah.
Cool.
So you're newly back into the hobby since working for GW and obviously doing the painting phase. With that in mind, what system are you enjoying playing, and have you got any favourite factions?
Oh yeah. So yeah, playing a bit of Necromunda over the course of several months, and I've got painted up some corpse grinders for that I'm really enjoying. Because I said to Peachy when we were sort of going through and choosing the factions that we'd play, I said, what's like the most simple faction? And he was like, well, corpse grinders, you charge towards people, then hack them to bits. I was like, great, fantastic. That sounds good. So really enjoyed painting those guys. Found my love of streak and grime doing them, which was good fun. Space Marines, like Iron Warriors, I think really look cool. The Night Lords, like I listened to the audiobooks of the Night Lords trilogy, and they were quite fun. So I was like, yeah, God, like pretty much anything. I'm like, oh yeah, Imperial Fists are cool, Space Wolves are cool, Black Templars are cool. Like I just can't help myself. Yeah, and Custodies, I'm painting some of them at the minute.
Oh, see, I knew I liked him for a reason, Custodies. and seeing as Casey put it out there, before I pass you over to Dunk to wrap up, what was the last miniature you painted?
The last miniature that I painted was a Custodies. Yeah, just a warden.
You can't beat a good Custodies.
No.
Even though everyone's taking their head to blame me, you can't beat them. I've got them just there to my left.
Fantastic.
All right. Right, Dunk, do you want to wrap things up because it's getting on for 9 o'clock?
Yeah, that's going to be my last question, and it's just still staying on painting and stuff. What do you listen to, or what do you have in the background when you're painting?
I'm weird. Quite a lot of the time, I'll just have nothing. Right. Because I think painting is one of the few things that I do that kind of like occupies like everything. And I think that's what I liked about climbing when I did more of it, was if I'm on the climbing wall, I'm just thinking about getting to the next bit. And when I'm painting, I'm just sort of like, I really don't want to mess this bit up. Or, you know, I want it to look a certain way, or I need to make sure this glaze is like this, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, quite often I just paint with nothing on. Yeah.
A kindred spirit. There's another one of me that exists. I love it.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, cool.
Just want to say thanks again for coming on, and for the folks that don't follow you, which for some reason, why aren't they? Where can they find you on all your social medias?
Yeah, so I'm like Pile of Shame Paints on Instagram. I run the Painting Phase Instagram as well, so any of those, and YouTube Painting Phase, and yeah, that's about it.
Again, thanks for coming on, Pat. Really appreciate giving up your Sunday evening to listen to a London guy and a Stoke guy talking nonsense. We're a really central Scottish guy. Folks, we're back on Wednesday with Quipster. As I say, join the Painting Phase YouTube channels. They've got some really great guests on there and some pretty decent tutorials as well to follow along if you're looking for anything. And if you get any questions, folks, don't hesitate and get phone them to us for Wednesday's Guest Quipster. Again, Pat, thanks for coming on. And can you tell Jeff to get back to me on a date, because I sent him a message. He said, yeah, I'll come on. I gave him some dates, and then he's never get back to me. So, and then the trilogy of the Painting Phase will be complete.
Yeah.
Walkgate Studios told me that Jeff does come back to him, so maybe it's just you doesn't like Dunk.
Yeah, he doesn't like you, Dunk. I don't blame him.
I know that he was in the Guards, and I was in Argyle, so maybe it's an infantry thing. Maybe I shouldn't have started flagging off the Guards. Maybe that's what it is. Folks, thanks for joining us again. Pat, again, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great time in the LVO, and make sure you make sure that what Studios has takes care of you. Folks.
Thank you very
See you
much,
later.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming on. Bye.
Cheers.